say some days you're gonna win. They say some days you're gonna lose. I tell you, I got news for you. You're losing all the time, you never win. No. If you believe that's how it's gonna be, I better put you down. Get up, you take your look and come down on the ground. You gotta save me now. You better turn around. And I looked around. I was heading down. Oh, somebody throw me down the line. This is some days you gotta give. This is some days you gotta take. That's the way it's gotta be. Roll it over and you will see. City streets are full of people going nowhere, making time.
Good morning, good morning. The first day of September. I hope you guys had a great extended weekend. I know that I did, and we got a good show for all of you guys today. Coming down the pipeline in a couple of minutes, we're going to be talking to OSF Healthcare. They got some exciting news to share and fill us in on. Really good stuff. Then at 9:40, our spotlight on the North Alton Godfrey Business Council continues with Patty's Petals and Scott Mandrell. He's a Edward Jones financial advisor. We're going to talk to both of them about their respective businesses and a little bit more about the Business Council. I'm excited about that one. And then also coming down the pipeline on the show at 10:10, our first conversation with Keith Short and Associates. Really excited to have his expertise when it comes to the legal side of things, brand new segments, and we're going to take a look at some of the cases that he's worked on in the past and just have some really insightful stuff in that time period. Then at 10:35, our conversation with Tyler, the Gravedigger driver that's for Monster Jam. He's gotten rescheduled to today at 10:30. I want to apologize for all of you that weighed in and kind of were waiting out on us on Friday. We had some Zoom issues, so we just bumped that one to today. So we got a full show. We are going to go right into weather today because there's no time for news. It's a beautiful day outside, 67 degrees in downtown Alton. It feels like 70 out there, humidity at 70%. There was a stray morning shower in parts of the area. That should be but all cleared up by now. Tonight, just clear, nothing really to report. As for your air quality index, that's at 53 overall, which is moderate. Your mold count's moderate today, and your ragweed levels are low, so you might want to take a Claritin for that mold count. Other than that, the UV index, it's still ranking at its high. Temperatures today reach 83 degrees, drop down to 55 overnight. As we head into Wednesday, a high of 84, a low of 54 degrees. And then on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, listen to this. On Thursday, a high of 72, a low of 61. And on Friday, a high of 72, a low of 47 degrees. And then on Saturday, partly sunny skies, a high of 72, a low of 49. That's a look at the next cool 5 days. I'm looking forward to those, my friends. You can stay up to date in real time all the time by downloading the RiverBender.com app today or by calling 618-465-4545. This time powered by Bounce Back, Rehab, Recover, Return Home. We'll take a quick break. Come back with our friends at OSF Healthcare right after this on RiverBender.com and Roku TV. With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Discover Del Mar Public House, located in Godfrey's historic Clifton Schoolhouse. Enjoy bold flavors like homemade falafel, fish and chips, and rotating pasta favorites. Relax with local beers, half-price wine bottles, and summer poutine nights. The only thing missing is you. Open Wednesday through Sunday. Del Mar Public House, where great food, drinks, and friends come together. DelMarPublicHouse.com.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Carmen and the devil walking side by side. I said, hey, Carmen, come on, let's go downtown. She said, I gotta go, but my friend is sticking around.
Welcome back. Daily Show on a Tuesday, and it just doesn't feel like Tuesday today. That 3-day weekend does it to me every time.
Second Monday.
Yep. Right. Sometimes the 4-day weeks are harder than the 5-day ones, you know, and unless you have the recent recognition that you guys just received nationwide, and this is so cool. We have Alicia and Charlotte with us, and now Lisa, you're the Vice President and Chief Nursing Officer, and then Charlotte, the Director of Professional Practice and Nursing Operations. Fill me in on this recognition that you guys have worked years for. This is really cool. The top 8% of hospitals. Take me through this Magnet with Distinction recognition. What's the official title for it?
It is Magnet with Distinction.
Okay.
And less than, as you said, less than 8% of hospitals achieve Magnet, and even less achieve the level of distinction. So it's really an honor for us in this area to receive this recognition. And what it means is that not only did you exceed the stringent requirements to meet the Magnet designation, but you went over and above that and were designated as excellent in nursing care.
That's incredible. And now you were also saying, or we were kind of chatting before during the break, and that's that we were one of the only hospitals in the southern region, correct, in the southern part of the state to even have this, correct?
Yeah, and including the St. Louis area, right?
Wow.
So, we're really, happy and honored to do this. So we did this with 14 exemplars, and what that means is that in 14 categories, we went above the benchmark for nursing excellence and taking care of our patients and meeting all of our metrics and, providing excellent patient experience when the patients are in the hospital with us. So we went well above, and we're really raising the bar. So
well, and I'm sure, especially when you start talking 8%, and I mean, there's a lot of hospitals throughout the country, so 8% is incredible. And we're saying that 41. Correct?
Yes, we make the 42nd, and this is international and national.
Wow. That's honestly just incredible. And now take me through some of the, I guess, the overview, if you would, of those 14 exemplars.
Yeah, so I probably won't be able to remember all of them. But yeah, so our ambulatory services, so for patient experience, they outperform perform benchmarks in our safety for our patients, in caring for our patients, providing them with the education that they need. Same thing for our inpatient units. And really, sometimes they say, oh, well, you're a smaller hospital. Well, that even makes it harder for us. So we have, just a couple of inpatient units, which means that we have to outperform in greater than 51%. Well, when you have a couple of units, if you take one of those away, you really need to make sure that you do great work in every aspect of the hospital. So we also meet on our quality indicators. So we have not had an infection, a central line infection or a hospital-acquired infection for over 2 years in both of our ICU and our med-surg areas. So we're really proud of those metrics. So
that's incredible. Well, and honestly, it's one of those that for the folks that are watching this to know, just how, by the book and then some, you and your entire staff have to be, because if one person's not, in line with the game plan and the mission of the team, that's going to set you guys completely off track because of the smaller size of your guys' hospital. It could set you off track for all the work that you spent years trying to build up, and I think that that's really important for the public to know too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took us 3 years to get here.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, that's just incredible for me. And now, when you get to this point, you get this recognition, which is huge. Is it one of those things where it's like, all right, let's celebrate for a couple of seconds and because it's great, but now we got to keep going and keep maintaining this, I'm sure, too.
That's exactly what it is, because as soon as you get the designation, the clock starts for your next one, because it's every kidding. 4 years. You don't just get it and keep it.
Yeah.
Every 4 years, we will have to meet the same criteria. And then they do change the criteria, right, Charlotte?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to, So we're already looking at what are we doing now? What do we need to add? What do we need to shore up so that we can continue this road?
Well, real quick, Charlotte, too, you were talking a little bit about just being with the distinction recognition, being the only one in this area, in the St. Louis area included with that distinction. What's the difference between general designation and then that designation with distinction?
Well, it just kind of really sets that level a little bit higher, right? So, we there's lots of hospitals that meet those criteria and become Magnet designated hospitals. But as I mentioned before, we've done that in 14 different categories, and we not only met the benchmarks, we surpassed them. So that really is what sets us above with that distinction. It just is a little bit harder to get. So, and we, like you said, we couldn't do this without all of the nursing staff being on board and being involved in their care of their patients and, everything that we have to do.
It's really fascinating. Well, and also, too, just to go a little bit more into the award and then also just the program a little bit, take me through the model. What is the Magnet model when it comes down to just the overview for the audience?
Okay, I'm going to let Charlotte go over because she's this is her wheelhouse.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. So really at the heart of it, like we've mentioned 1,000 times, is the patient outcomes. So the patient outcomes is the center of what the components of Magnet really mean. And with that, then we bring in transformational leadership. We have a great leadership team at Saint Anthony's that really just helps to set the bar for all of our nurses and really are great leaders. We also look at new knowledge. So as a hospital that has raised the bar, we now have to be innovative in the things that we do with our patients. So trying out new things, seeing what works. When we fall short in an area, we look back at the books and say, okay, what does the evidence of nursing show us and how can we do that? And then, our practice, our professional practice model and the nurses on the floor doing exactly what they need to do to make sure that they meet those outcomes. And then last is our excellence, just our structural empowerment, and that the nurses are able to practice at the top of their license and they make decisions that really impact their care that they provide for the patients.
Well, and speaking of nurses, again, talking before the break and how, great this is hopefully for you guys with, retaining and also gaining, new hires and new nurses that are out there, because the two area schools around here, it seems like, have some really great programs at SIUE and Lewis and Clark that really provide some good talent. And to have this, I'm sure, sets you guys a little bit above the bar, if you will, than some of the other area hospitals.
It does, and that honestly is how Magnet originated. fascinated because when the first nursing shortage hit in the 1980s,
Gotcha.
They found one hospital was doing really well in recruiting and retaining, and they called it a magnet because it pulled nurses. So that is how the designation started many years ago. For us, to your point, the first bar you have to pass is nursing engagement. So we have to show that our nurses are happy in what they do, they feel fulfilled, and as Charlotte said, and we say this a lot, that they're able to practice at the top of their license. So we have a group of nurses called the Professional Practice Council, run by frontline staff nurses, and they make a lot of the decisions about the work, about how the practice of nursing evolves and is done at OSF Saint Anthony's.
Well, I'm sure that's so important too, because especially with what the role is, especially when it comes to ICU and ER nurses, the whole gauntlet of what your nursing staff covers. Morale and I'm sure just overall atmosphere is huge, and if everyone has a little bit more of that, not freedom, but also just more of that family mentality where we're a mission here, we're a team. I'm sure it really gets everyone across the finish line, especially because the hours and then just the different objectives and tasks that come in each and every day for the entire staff, I'm sure are a heavy burden sometimes.
Yeah, very much.
Well, and now when it comes to the American Nurses Credentialing Center, is that who provides this recognition?
It is, and they are part of the American Nurses Association.
Okay.
So they're the credentialing arm of that organization. And so many of us get other kinds of certification through ANCC in our specialties. Charlotte and I both have it. Other nurses have it. Our frontline nurses have it in different categories. If you're a great med-surg nurse, you can do that. So they are constantly recognizing excellence in nursing in different levels and different areas.
Very fascinating. Well, and now too, whenever we're getting ready to take a quick break and we'll come back with more, but whenever we're talking about this, what do you hope the residents really of the region take away from this recognition the most? And to me, it's one of those where it's a really good breath of fresh air going, wow, it's not a health center that's having maybe some issues, because it could be a gauntlet. Financially speaking, it's been happening a little bit more lately, but for some great positive news, just to kind of reward a staff is huge. What's your thoughts just on that? How should they feel about it?
I think they should feel amazing. I think they should feel proud of their community, of the hospital that represents them in their community. I think that they should feel secure in the knowledge that when they come to OSF Saint Anthony's, they are going to get the highest level of care, and their outcomes are going to be better because the nurses are so engaged and the nurses have demonstrated this high level of performance. I mean, it would be what would make me decide to go there.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. It's 9:33. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back and talk more about this great recognition and honor for OSF Saint Anthony's Health Center. You stay there. Oh, by the way, only hospital with distinction in the area. You just want to throw that out there one more time. It's just huge. 42 in the world.
In the world, yes.
Just incredible. Yeah. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with more of this right after this quick one on Riverbender.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Magnet Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and it will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Magnet Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Magnet Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
And don't rock the jukebox. Wanna hear George Jones? 'Cause my heart ain't ready for the Rolling Stones.
Welcome back. In with Lisa in Charlotte, OSF Saint Anthony's Health Center. This has just been really cool. I love sharing positive news. You know, everyone always keeps getting the sad news, but when we get to talk about just this great recognition, this is so cool. And as we're diving back into this, you know, we talked about, if you're just tuning in, the significance of this recognition and the award. You're one of 42 hospitals in the nation. And, you know, it kind of is an interesting point, Lisa, because you were right. You're coming off the tail end of COVID a couple of years ago when you're starting this process, and the whirlwind I'm sure that was for you guys in the healthcare system. And so to kind of start that in an interesting time, to say the least, and be able to come out looking like this 3 years later plus is got to be incredible for everyone that's in the front office watching this, but also for everybody that was on the staff that was, you know, making sure these pillars were met.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And now, as we go into this, what are some of the phases? Because you said that there's different portions of this, and I'm sure that each one of them's a little bit of a marathon in a way.
Yeah. So really, you know, back in August of 2022, when we submitted our application, click submit, that was nerve-wracking, right? So the process started. So it was really a lot of fact-finding. So when we say that there's magnet stories, there's things that we have to like, you know, show. We have to demonstrate that, you know, our team has done certain things, and that is the process. So getting these stories, putting these stories in the right place, making sure that the right people were at the table, that kind of thing. That was really probably the hardest thing. You know, we all wear many hats, so, you know, that right. seemed to be the longest process. But the metrics were always there, so we always kind of, you know, made sure that, you know, our patient experience scores were on target, that our quality metrics were on target. And so that was the easy part, you know, just kind of riding out the storm. So when we actually then resubmitted the final document last August, it was kind of a wait and see, you know, so then we had to hear back from them and maybe make some adjustments to some of the things that we had, you know, let them know. But when they came in July and visited our hospital, it was just a validation of everything that we had told them in our document was true. And it wasn't that they wanted to talk to us, they wanted to talk to the frontline nursing staff, right? So, you know, they wanted to talk to the nurses that maybe had worked other places and come back to OSF and St. Anthony's, because that is where they knew that was their home. So our surveyors numerous times heard those same stories of, you know, somebody maybe going and working somewhere else, but realizing that this is really the place that they wanted to be. And that's really kind of our overall story of, you know, just being a really big, great family there.
Well, and I think that's such an important part of it, because as a patient, you're only going to receive the best care from the folks that are feeling the best about the job they're doing. And morale's a huge thing, and just overall, you know, atmosphere too. So to have your staff overall satisfied and the, you know, everyone working the front lines and the emergency room and all the different aspects too, and just throughout the building and your nursing staff, it's great to know that, you know, it's not, you aren't going to get a disgruntled, you know, employee who maybe is just having a rough go of it. You're having somebody that's enriched in a really great atmosphere, and I think that's so huge. And, you know, as we're going in, how many people were a part of the project team, if you will, for the...
Well, Charlotte led it. And Melissa Poletti, who unfortunately isn't here with us today, she partnered with Charlotte, and then they pulled the entire team together. We probably had all of our leaders touched it.
Wow.
All of our frontline leaders, our professional practice group touched it. And then when the surveyors came, I would say 90% of our nursing team touched this.
Wow.
They were there for 3 days, so they wanted to talk to every single person that walked through the door. You know, they just have to validate everything that we've said to be true, and they did. So.
Well, and honestly, it seems like, you know, and not seems like it is. Whenever you know what you guys are, and you're, you know, after you look at all the data standpoints and you submit your document, I'm sure there's nerves, but it's not a, oh my goodness, you know, I hope nothing happens nerve. It's just a, all right, we're here. You know, it's an exciting nervousness, because you know that you're behind your word, and your staff's going to be, you know, as great as always. So it's a no-brainer when they stop in that it's going to be a great 3-day trip, you know?
And I think that was the best part, is just seeing the nurses, like you said, engaged in everything that they do. And, you know, we want them we want them to do the process, not us. They're doing
Right.
the hard work every single day out there with all the patients.
And that's the culture. And I think we've talked a lot about a lot of things, but the most important thing is the culture. You can work on putting things in place and getting outcomes and working on metrics. But one of the hardest things to ever have in any place is culture.
Yeah.
And the nursing leaders at Saint Anthony's and all of the leaders have done such a great job in creating such a great culture. They commented on that several times. And I really think that is one of the things that catapulted us into distinction.
Well, I'm sure. Well, and also, it goes into that because I said it earlier before the break, but I mean, you guys have a very tough job. It's not mine where you get to vent into a microphone for 2 hours if you wanted to. I mean, you're working with folks and saving lives, and there's so much that goes into that. So to have an environment where everyone feels supported and we're all loving the team, I mean, that's really important. I'm sure in this industry it's hard to do just because of all the different factors that go into the day-to-day job, and I'm sure that the satisfaction component is a tough part of that, and not necessarily because of a group of people or an admin or one policy, just because of the physical and mental demands that it takes to do this.
It's a hard job.
Yeah. Well, and now going back into this, so when was it decided that you guys were going to go ahead and pursue this? Was it after you kind of started looking at things and looking at those data standpoints, or were you feeling kind of like, you know what, we're feeling good about where we're at, just kind of overall and kind of internally, let's take a look at this and pursue it? What was that decision?
I think that the first part of it was seeing the nursing satisfaction scores.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave me the point of, wow, we really have some great satisfaction. That was probably the first 6 months that I was there. And then after we were able to really address some of those last issues with COVID and how the nurses really stepped in and made those things happen, I think that's when I really felt, and we really felt as a team, that this is something we need to do. Charlotte and I were part of another hospital that got Magnet Designation.
Okay.
So we kind of knew what to look for. And when we were seeing those things, we're like, we've got this. We need to start writing it, which, by the way, sometimes I think that's the hardest part, is the document they wrote, which would be this thick if we printed it out.
Oh, you can keep that. But it's really important to note that, too. And now that you receive it, like we talked about kind of on the front end of this, now we start the process again, correct?
Yeah.
And now, when do the changes, if there are changes that come into this rubric, when do you get notified of them? Is it during the process or is it beforehand?
You mean changes of like
the qualifying factors?
So I mean, we look at that all the time. So that's part of our roles as leaders at the hospital. We're always looking at those metrics all the time, right? So we start our process, we start our clock ticking, and we can't get better than 0, but what if we do have a fallout? What if we, do that? We need to, go back to the drawing board and kind of like look and see where we can make improvements, and that's part of being a Magnet organization is sometimes you do have rocky moments and things, or, metrics fall below where they need to be, but it's just a matter of how we look at it, how we change our practice to make everything better again.
Well, you're right, because I mean, that's just part of life. You're always going to have something, but as long as you have a good team and you're staying focused, it's all, all good. And when it comes to the pillars, though, that's what I was kind of curious about, because you said sometimes they might change up a different, factor in those pillars. Do you guys get those kind of changes, or they emailed to you, or do you have to kind of research it to figure that out?
Right now we're writing to the 2023 Magnet document, right? So they change it every few years. I think before that it was 2019.
Okay.
Everybody wrote to that document. So there's just different levels of criteria
but we're
inside
notified.
that document. Yeah.
Okay.
And so if they change it, they would let us know.
They'll let you know that you're writing to the new manual. This was we wrote to the new manual. This was the first year that the new manual was used. So we wrote to that, which was really interesting and much more focused on ambulatory than previously. Right. So it does change.
Yeah.
You always have to be getting better. But what doesn't change are those components
that
of
makes
Magnet.
sense.
So we can always look at our stories and look what we're doing, because those true north, that guides us.
Well, and before I let you go, just for all of you nursing students out there, too, that are maybe getting ready to graduate, or maybe you just graduated or you're kind of looking in the area, why not take a look at OSF? You guys have it. I don't know. You guys do you have openings?
We do
We
have
do have a few.
Yeah,
we do have a few.
Who wouldn't want to be? I mean, you guys are a magnet destination, or
Yeah.
you know.
We have a place to be.
Yep.
We are the place to be.
Yep.
So on both sides, if you're a nurse or a patient. So
Absolutely. And then just go to osfhealthcare.org to find out more, I'm sure, about those opportunities. But again, just congratulations on this. 42 hospitals in the world, and you guys are one of them, and that just says a lot about the overall staff. We'll take a quick break. We'll link everything in a write-up on RiverBender.com to show some more love. And also, I just want to clarify, I was going to put Lisa and Charlotte's titles in here, but I only have so much character space, and there was a lot of licenses going on.
That's nursing.
It's incredible is what it is. It made me kind of humbled, very 9:46, and we'll come back right after this one with the North Alton Godfrey Business Council. We're going to spotlight them and some of the great businesses in it.
Throw all.
At BankLiberty.com.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
All right now, baby, it's on.
Involved with them, but no, it's a great and terrific organization, does a lot for the community, so I'm happy to actually be formally involved with what they're doing.
What are you thinking about Zeke's hosting abilities of lunch?
He is never at a loss for words.
Well, now you share a building with Gerard Fisher on Godfrey Road.
Right.
And, take me through just your day-to-day with Edward Jones as well, for the folks that are maybe looking for that guidance in the next couple of months or even now.
Right, well, it's really an interesting and exciting time in the financial industry. Right now, we're going through probably one of the largest transfers of wealth in our nation's history right now, generational wealth. And Jones is very focused on generational wealth. I think that's one of the reasons why we're so well suited to small communities. We started as a firm that really served small communities, rural communities, farming in particular early on. And right now, we're seeing a huge, with boomers, with baby boomers starting to retire and in some cases starting to even pass away. We see the transfer of wealth from one generation to another, and that's a very critical time for people because in those moments, there's a lot of tax considerations and long-term legacy issues that really need to be addressed.
Well, and now, whenever you're speaking with your clients about that, I'm sure that's always a topic of interest whenever, you're meeting with folks is what do those next 20 years look like? What's that transfer period look like as well? And whether it's retirement or you're looking at your estate or looking at those assets, what do you advise somebody, whenever they're starting to look at that, if they're getting older and they're looking at that retirement age and maybe we haven't done enough yet to maybe get to that safety period or that safety net goal, but what's your advice to really start?
Well, to get in and talk to someone, just like so many things, having a second opinion is helpful. Yeah. And sometimes just articulating what's going on in your life to someone else who works in that industry, who's maybe considered things and considers things on a daily basis that you wouldn't necessarily. We don't know what we don't know. right? Is a it's a little bit of a trite saying, but it's also very true. And so I would argue that even a young person should get in and have a conversation and ask about what are the strategies for long-term saving and then ultimately investing. And, you know, the accumulation period rather than the distribution period is longer than it used to be. We're living longer, right? So if someone says, I'm going to retire at, everybody says they want to retire at 55.
Right.
That's the articulated comment. The reality of it is it's going to be closer probably to 65 for most of us and maybe even a little later. And so don't feel like you're too old. The people in their 50s sometimes, I should have started earlier. Well, you really have quite a while yet to go.
Right.
And then ultimately, because you're going to be living so much longer than our parents and our grandparents did, you know, you could retire at 65 and still live for 30 years.
Right.
So it's very important that you have a strategy in place. And that starts really with a conversation with someone who's working in the industry all the time, I think.
Well, and now after you start getting the process going with a client, what's that relationship look like? Is it, you know, a kind of just a monthly check-in with you, or is it just kind of a quarterly thing to see where things are looking? How does that process work? What's your relationship look like after that initial?
I would argue that it is individual, and that is a particularly important part of the conversation, is that everyone's situation is different. We have clients who are, I have clients who sort of hand me the keys to the car, if you will, and they say, you know, grow my account.
Get me there.
You know, grow my account, make money for us. And in the meantime, I'm going to be on the golf course, I'm going to be fishing, and whatever it might be, but they are not necessarily looking to be engaged on a very, very regular basis.
Right.
I have some clients who are very much so engaged, particularly people who, you know, engineers, accountants, business folks, they tend to want to be involved early on. There generally comes a point where they start to sort of move away from the regular engagement, and they want us to take over more of the responsibility for them. But we're happy to meet with our clients anytime. And of course, being a small community, we see our clients on a regular basis, whether it's at dinner or at Schnucks or whatever.
Well, and now, do you have a preference when it comes to that with working with clients? Do you prefer to be more hands-on, or do you prefer to have, you know, a client that has some goals in mind or some ideas to bring to the table, or something they're watching or monitoring?
Well, it really is, again, dependent upon the individual, but I can tell you that I actually learn a great deal from my clients. I enjoy it when my clients engage.
That's cool.
We know that managed portfolios tend to outperform ones that are not.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner of that account being engaged really can enhance the outcome. And, you know, people say, well, what does that mean? Well, you know, there are certain times that, you know, we have fiduciary responsibility for our clients, but we don't always have total discretion, meaning that there could be things going on in the market that require a response from a client. And so it's very important that clients are responsive, that if we call them, that they get back in touch with us. But also, we want them to understand how dynamic the market is today. It's very different than it was 20 or 30 years ago, you know, for a host of different reasons. It's not one thing. Certainly, communication is a big part of it. The market really never closes today, right? While we're sleeping, someone in Germany is trading.
Right. That's what,
okay.
See, now that's what I was fascinated about, too, because I actually saw something it was one of those YouTube podcasts they come up, but they were actually talking about that, how, you know, the world's never asleep anymore.
That's
you know,
right.
And now it's always, you know, even when you're sleeping, you're losing was kind of the subject line of that podcast, but it's fascinating.
And long weekends like we just had do sometimes create a little bit of anxiety in our minds a little bit. Like it's usually what does Monday bring, but now, you know, this on a week like this, what does Tuesday bring?
Right.
Because other things are happening in the world.
Now, are you seeing anything whenever it comes to these new forms of investing, whether it's, you know, crypto or throw another product out there, another different, I guess, financial token. Do you see that a lot with your clients wanting to look into that? What do you advise for folks? Because to me, I don't understand it. I'll just be honest with you. It's the crypto game's a little confusing for me. But whenever it comes to working with your clients, do you have kind of a set game plan when it comes to that, or what's your advice to it?
Well, Jones is I would argue, a conservative company.
Yeah.
We've been around for 103 years. We believe in long-term investing and quality instruments and quality stocks and holding those stocks for a long time when appropriate. And so some of the other alternative investment types, including cryptocurrency, digital currency, are still new, and we're quite frankly sort of tiptoeing around them. We're being very cautious about that. We will certainly engage with our clients about how something like that might figure into their total portfolio, just as real estate might, for example. Right, real estate is a completely valid investment instrument, but again, it should be looked at as part of your total. And liquidity is important, right? Yeah. So one of the things that stocks and bonds and more traditional investments have as part of their characteristic makeup is liquidity, the ability to access those assets when you need them. Cryptocurrencies, real estate even, are not always as quickly liquidable as other securities are. That's
interesting. Whenever I'm sure again goes back to that individualized, approach, and everyone's different. But I'm sure having a very, a diversified portfolio really is a good way forward, or a good starter point for so many people, and for especially my generation, I think. Because they might see a Dave Ramsey short or two, or then they get sucked into the financial rabbit hole, and then they might get, who knows where they go. They might think that, well, I gotta get this cart before the horse early, and I want to make sure I get the real estate process started. Whenever it comes to that, what do you advise for young people when it's it's kind of slowing down and really charting the best path forward? I know it's individualized, but is it starting in a smaller in smaller stocks? Is it by looking at going real estate early? Maybe is it looking at, okay, maybe take a chance, and if you really feel confident about Bitcoin, go ahead and see where you can go with it. What's your advice for somebody that's younger that really doesn't know too much about financial, gains, or any type of market, or any, type of portfolio? What do you advise them?
I would advise them to get with someone who is a financial advisor, who works in the industry. Find someone who you really have a good personal relationship with. And I know that might sound, again, sort of simplistic, but one of the things that I think is interesting about Jones, and this comes up all the time, and this goes to your question, and it is, why do we have so many offices? People will say, well, guys, there's a Jones office over here and there's a Jones office over there. Well, confidentiality is huge. The ability to speak freely. When you have a client who holds back anything, that can be detrimental in their long-term planning. So you want to find someone who you really feel comfortable talking to, so that you can get it all out there. And again, every one of these plans or the advice that would be given would be based upon individual needs, okay? But for a young person, particularly the younger they are, start saving. Start saving. And as an alternative to traditional savings, like with a bank, for example, there are things that I think are oftentimes people are not aware of, or things like dollar cost averaging, which is where you're buying stock on a regular basis. Instead of putting $100 into the bank every month, you can buy stock every month with something called dollar cost averaging, which is very effective for young people when maybe their own assets are limited. But definitely start saving. You really can't be an investor if you're not a saver.
That makes sense.
Right.
And it totally does. It's so fascinating because you see so many more young people now that are acting as financial advisors on these social media platforms. And it's kind of alarming for me that I just hope that, kids do the right thing, and the younger generation like mine does. And that's call somebody and don't just go, okay, let me click on this link and become a millionaire tomorrow,
Well, rarely does it happen overnight. Right. And you made a point about Dave Ramsey, and I would just say,
I love him, man.
well, very entertaining, and that is the key to understand the difference. At the beginning and the end of those shows, there are disclaimers that say specifically that the purposes of those shows are that they're entertainment purposes only, right? Because they can't possibly know what your situation is. And making a decision based upon a radio personality, no offense,
Right.
okay, could be detrimental in the long run, significantly detrimental in the long run. So you want to look at, not only the investments, but what are the tax consequences? What are the long-term tax opportunities, right, as well? A lot of times, people today don't really understand that you're making, and you alluded to this earlier, that you're making a decision today that you may not really be able to change that. It's a 20-year decision or a 40-year decision in some cases. So just, again, I would argue that probably the key thing is to sit with an advisor. And, it doesn't cost anything to come see us.
Right.
Okay. You schedule an appointment, come see us, and we'll have an initial meeting and kind of talk about what your situation is. And one of the things that I have found is that people are oftentimes, they're reluctant to come in and they feel like, I don't have enough money to be an investor. I don't, this is big, this is more money than I have. Well, I would argue that is a counterintuitive thing. Come in, start the process, and then 20 years from now, you can look back and laugh a little bit about how much money you might have at that point, and how your assets have grown. But start the process, and don't be afraid to set an appointment and come talk to somebody.
Well, and Scott, it's been great talking with you. And before I let you go back into the North Alton Godfrey Business Council side of things, how important is it for organizations like the Business Council to be active? Because we know like the Benjamin Godfrey Trail and other civic projects that they've done, but you've also been a part of different projects throughout the community and the region. How important is that when it comes to businesses and their input into the local assets?
Well, it's crucial, and it's very important that businesses have a structure that they can be part of, so that there is a voice that is representative of those small businesses. Small businesses continue to drive the American economy. The primary driver, small businesses, really. So in a community like ours, unfortunately, we don't have the sort of the industrial type jobs we used to have in this area, which hopefully there will be someone at some point who will work toward that end. But in the meantime, there are thousands of people in our community who go to work every day, and they go to work mostly at small businesses. Right. And so those businesses have to have a voice in the community. They have to be able to advocate for change when it's necessary, or to help actually complement the work that the government is doing, like to your point with regard to civic projects and things like that. So it is very important that there is a structure that allows local business individuals, business people, men and women who have taken the chance and the risk of starting their own businesses, to have a voice in the wider community, whether that be politically or socially in the community. So North Alton Godfrey Business Association does that very well. Business Council does that.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, it's always great talking with you, and we'll see you. Well, I'll see you next week for the Business Council meeting. Right. We'll take a quick break. More of our spotlight continues right after this with Patty's Petals. Right after this on Riverbender and Roku TV.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Discover Del Mar Public House, located in Godfrey's historic Clifton Schoolhouse. Enjoy bold flavors like homemade falafel, fish and chips, and rotating pasta favorites. Relax with local beers, half-price wine bottles, and summer poutine nights. The only thing missing is you. Open Wednesday through Sunday. Del Mar Public House, where great food, drinks, and friends come together. DelMarPublicHouse.com.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain, I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
But I ain't got wings. Coming down is the hardest thing.
Welcome back. Daily Show. On a Tuesday, our spotlight on the North Alton Godfrey Business Council continues with Missy and Tara and Patty's Petals, which is right on Godfrey Road. Now, your building is right next to where it was an old car lot, and right next to where are you guys right next to? Because it's driving me crazy. Yeah, that's exactly okay. I was going crazy this morning thinking about that. Well, and I had your parents on the show, I believe, a year ago.
Yes.
How's everything been in that year's time since you guys have joined the show last?
Crazy.
Busy.
That's awesome. Did you guys expect it to be kind of as busy as it has been?
A little bit.
Yeah. Our weddings have kicked up a lot, so that makes a big difference. So.
Well, and your mom, I believe, was telling me that she was traveling all over to drop off wedding orders and so much when it comes to that, and also bereavement's very big for you guys as well, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, and now as we're getting into to school mode, and it's crazy to think that homecomings are coming down the pipeline. Do you guys do that work as well?
Absolutely, we do a very big homecoming business.
Really cool. Now, take me through before we go any further. Your guys' day to day at Patty's Petals.
I mean, day to day varies. Just depends on what we have going on. Wedding season's getting ready to kick in full swing. So
absolutely,
a lot of our time will be spent with getting the wedding flowers ready and making sure everything's perfect for their big day.
Well, now, when does wedding season, how long does that typically last for y'all?
Wedding season pretty much will start this weekend for us, and we have weddings booked through the end of the year.
Are you serious?
Yes, every weekend.
Just about every weekend.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, and now, Tara, take me through, is it kind of the same, just depending on the day?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. We usually arrive around 9 a.m. and prep the flowers for the day, kind of go over what we've discovered the evening before, some orders that came in or whatever. And then we just look at each other and we get going. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and also right now, Grandparents' Day is coming up, and I know on the website that you guys are advertising your floral arrangements, and what better way to say, hey, happy Grandparents' Day than that? Let me take you through that just because I can. Something like that's beautiful. I mean, honestly, that really is. And that's only, I mean, for $50 right there shown at, that's a really great arrangement for that price. That's perfect.
The website's new for us. We just started that March or April.
Yes, April.
January. It was right before Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow. I bet that's been really busy for you guys then. Well, and now is it updated quite frequently too?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
Perfect. Well, and now I think it's awesome that you guys are really for every occasion, because you become such a staple that way where, you know, everyone knows that, you know, mom or grandma or dad or, you know, grandpa or whoever is calling Patty Petals for,
absolutely,
you name the holiday, we're here for it. And now, do you guys have a specific type of season that you guys kind of like the most?
Mine's fall.
Is it?
Absolutely fall, yes.
Is it?
Valentine's Day is very busy. That is a very busy holiday for us. However, I would say fall is probably our favorite. We get into more of the...
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Discover Del Mar Public House, located in Godfrey's historic Clifton Schoolhouse. Enjoy bold flavors like homemade falafel, fish and chips, and rotating pasta favorites. Relax with local beers, half-price wine bottles, and summer poutine nights. The only thing missing is you. Open Wednesday through Sunday. Del Mar Public House, where great food, drinks, and friends come together. DelMarPublicHouse.com.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job. There's nothing holding me back anymore.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, because there ain't no one for to give you no pain.
Welcome back. 10:13. We're going to play Patty's Petals at the end of the show today after Gravedigger. We have the guy that drives the monster truck calling in after you, Keith. This is going to be fun. But I've been telling the audience a couple weeks ago and now leading up to this that we're getting ready to start these segments, and really excited to have you here, Keith Short and Associates. And we've had you and Holly on before, I know. We've done some conversations, but to really kind of dive into what you guys do, and that's really fiercely advocate for your clients.
That's exactly right.
Well, and right now, is there ever really seasons when it comes to trial law and I guess busy season, if you will? Is that a thing with your guys' profession?
It's funny you say that. Actually, there is. We actually have to time our trials around everyone else's lives, and people don't quite realize that's true. You don't want to try a case between November and the end of December because you got Christmas and you've got Thanksgiving in there, and then people have a lot of times vacations toward the end of the year, and it's just an awful time. And what we have found, and I've tried lots and lots of jury trials relative to most of my fellow attorneys, when jurors are irritated by being there. They're irritated mostly with the plaintiff. So that's one issue. The other issue is, we live in a very agrarian part of the country, and I have to be cognizant. I tried a couple cases in Jerseyville last year, and I know when the farmers have to be in the field.
Yep,
it's really critical, and we have
fascinating.
to accommodate them.
Yeah,
and it's their livelihood. We also have summertime's a great time for us to try a case. It seems like because people have breaks, except for kids are home, which means mom doesn't have or dad doesn't have that built-in school, being the child care provider for the day.
Yeah.
So is there a good time to try a case? Yeah, probably from like February till May. That's the best time of year.
Well, and it's just fascinating, though, because I'm sure all those different components could make, and not just, I'm sure, one of those, but just a plethora of all those different components could make up or break up, really, a successful case sometimes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because what people have to remember is I have to go 12, for the plaintiff, I have to get all 12 people to agree with me.
Yeah.
If I have even one person who's angry about being there, just one, then the odds of me winning are going to go way down. So we have to be very aware of people's needs or circumstances, the single parent who has kids, or the person who says, look, I'm the only wage earner. If I don't work, and this is a 3-week trial, they're going to be angry about being there. And I don't blame them for that. So actually what I think people should realize is the judges and even the defense lawyers and ourselves, we are all aware of that. Nobody wants an angry juror there. So to the best of our abilities, all of us, we kind of work together to sort of pick out, that guy's going to go and this lady's going to go. And so that we tend to get older jurors.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they're more available. And we tend to get younger jurors because they're in college. And if they're not in college, lots of professors, if they are in college, will give them sort of grace for that lost time. But most trials are 4 or 5 days, so it doesn't take up that much time.
Do you ever get, I'm sure you've had some crazy excuses as why someone couldn't be a juror?
Oh, yeah. Actually, in fact, I'll give you the best one ever. It was me as a juror.
No way.
Yeah, I got called to jury duty one time in Union County, Illinois, which is a very small county. I grew up near Chicago, but we moved when I was a young man to Anna, which is south of Carbondale. Mm-hmm. And in Union County, which is a smaller county, it's probably equivalent to Jersey. I got called to jury duty, and I'm an attorney at the time, and it was a vehicular homicide case.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a drunk driver killed this family. Well, the problem was I went to church with those family members, so I knew them.
Mm-hmm.
The judge was married to my niece, and the defense lawyer who represented the defendant was my ex-wife's lawyer during my divorce.
No.
And so the judge says, does anyone know any of the people? I know everyone involved. Yeah. So I was immediately released from that jury. And I had another one time. A friend of mine called me for some advice on a case, and we talked about it. And about 3-4 months later, I got called to jury duty here in Madison County, and I happily went. And then I walk in, and it's the case that yeah. But as to non me people, yeah, I've seen some amazing things. I've seen people, where they claim they've got a vacation, and the judge asks them, well, did you prepay for the vacation? And then they start. Pretty soon you're realizing they don't have a vacation at all. You get more of that sort of thing. But no, I find that most people, almost all the reasons are pretty much the same. It's children or work.
Right.
And if it weren't for those two things, I think the great majority of people really wouldn't mind doing it.
Well, and see, that's where this whole, the overall point of a case is fascinating, because there's so many different components, from the jury to your guys, to the plaintiff, to your guys' defense, or your guys' legal team, to the defense team, and also the judge that's involved too. I'm sure that everyone has their different practices and procedures in their own courtrooms that you have to accommodate.
Oh, yeah. I tried a case, I won't tell you what county it was. It was this year. And it was in farther North County, and I've been doing this for 30-something years, and I have tried more. I use I a lot, but I'm just telling you what my experiences are. I've tried probably more jury trials than anyone I know. Mm-hmm. I did 5 last year. Most lawyers don't do 5 in their whole career.
Really?
Yeah, we did
Wow.
5. Yeah. Oh, there's actually a Georgetown study that showed that 92% of all lawyers never try 2 in their careers, because they're they do estate planning, or they do contracts, and it just doesn't happen. But even I know all sorts of personal injury lawyers out there who claim to be lawyers or trial lawyers, and they're not. They've never tried a case. There was a really well regarded and very, very smart lawyer I know is super successful, and he tried one his whole life.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But anyway, your question was about judges, and I tried a case where a judge wouldn't let me ask questions that I have asked every jury panel in every county, everywhere I've ever been, Illinois, Missouri, federal court, it doesn't matter. We are always allowed to ask questions like, does anyone here work in the insurance industry, if it's a personal injury matter, work in the insurance industry, or do they have a relative who works there? Wouldn't let me ask a question. And which seems weird, because I said, Your Honor, those people have a natural bias against us. And he said to me, this is the quote, that's not been my personal experience. And, I'm 60. I've been around a long time. I'm going to fight back sometimes. Right. And I said, well, Your Honor, as far as I know, you've always done criminal law until like just now. So how would you have ever been in this situation? And he wouldn't let me ask that question. And he wouldn't let me ask a whole series of questions that I talked to other judges who were friends of mine, and they were shocked. But it's his courtroom.
Yeah.
And you, as a lawyer, you have no option but to adjust. And you adjust and you make your record so that you can appeal the case if you don't prevail, but you don't stop the fight.
Right. Well, and see, this is where I find it even more intriguing, too, because so many, just going back to what you said about that, 2 trials maybe in a course of a career, you've done 5 last year, it's good for the public to know, hey, when you have to go through an unfortunate circumstance of going and maybe taking a case to trial, I'd much rather, at least speak with somebody that's, boots on the ground, that, so to speak, that's doing this very actively, as current as possible, too, know?
Yeah, well, yeah. They're when you say just as current as possible, people don't realize also how few trials actually occur. There aren't that many jury trials. Uh-huh. In fact, that's one of the concerns even the courts have, is that the whole system is sort of being whittled down. There are fewer and fewer. And then you see people hire lawyers, and I see them on TV and all these things, and I'm just like, it makes me so uncomfortable because I know that lawyer, and he's never been in a courtroom. I know he hasn't. Or I know he's been there like once in my life.
Right.
But there was one recently, I'll tell you the one that really bothered me, CJ, really, actually, to where it bothered me so much. I talked to my wife and my daughter about it. There was a person who was killed around here. And my first notion when I heard about her being killed was, the lawyers are going to come out of the woodwork, which is actually unethical. You're not allowed to reach out to someone. Mm-hmm. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble. It's usually a friend of a friend will contact somebody. We don't do any of that stuff. But my biggest fear was that this case was going to end up with someone who really didn't know what they were doing, who wouldn't maximize the value, who wouldn't fight for this person. Now, there are lawyers I could name in this town who are my competitors who are wonderful.
Yeah.
Laney Darr is a great lawyer. Eric Carlson over in Edwardsville is a great lawyer. We got a lot of them here in Alton who are good lawyers and have tried cases. But I have seen cases like that there are children involved who need to be supported, and there's a legacy that has to be taken care of, and it's in the hands of a lawyer who I know will not go to trial because he has not done it in his career. And in the end, often that case comes to me or comes to some other lawyer to finish it off. But the problem is, at that point, the cards are dealt.
Yep.
So that's a big issue. That really bothers me, and I don't mean to run on, but I have to have a surgical procedure in a couple of weeks. It's not a very important and dangerous one, but one of the first questions I asked my ENT was, how many times have you done this?
Right.
And he said about 250, and I said, okay. But I know people who never asked the lawyer, have you actually tried these cases?
You're right, because you just assume. Well, I would just assume that that's what you do.
Yeah. It's a myth. There was I think it was 3 years ago, maybe. There was only about 6 jury trials or 7 in all of Madison County.
Wow.
Yeah, in the PI side, in the what I do. Yeah.
Well, and that's where the work that you do is unfortunate work in a lot of ways. And I don't want to sound all doom and gloom, but when we're talking, medical malpractice and some of these things that are completely life altering, and not just for that person, but for their families.
Right.
I'm sure it's really paying careful attention to every detail, number one, but also making sure that personalized side of things, and is there too on your approach to make sure that you're treating this with that human component, and it's not just a number for that individual too.
Right. One of the things that we hear all the time, there's certain, I don't call them lies, but there's certain lines, LINES lines, that we hear almost from every client who comes in the door. Mm-hmm. And one of the first ones is, virtually everyone says, especially in the medical malpractice environment, is it's not about the money. And actually I used to have that laminated because I heard it so often. I would show them the card. It's not about the money, and it has to. And I tell them, well, it has to be about the money because that's the only remedy the law lets you have.
Right.
And the only thing that'll effectuate real change is money. The only that's it. If you want to stop something from occurring and then reoccurring in a hospital or in a doctor's setting, is you have to make it painful for them. Well, we can't take a license away. We can't, no one wants to physically harm anyone anyway, though sometimes you get so angry you want to.
I bet,
you
yeah.
Can't. So the law says you can only do one thing, and this is it. It's damages. And when they walk in, they say, and this isn't about the money, it's about principle. Well, it has to be about the money because I go bankrupt if it's not.
Yeah.
And secondly, money is the only remedy we have. So we don't shy from it. When I pick my jurors, one of the first questions I say to them is I tell them this: money is the only remedy, and that is all we can do. So that is what we must ask for. And this is a significant injury, so the amount has to be significant. Who's bothered by that? You never say, by the way, is anyone bothered? You say who is, because who assumes there's someone in the room.
That's right.
And then when that person raises their hand, you ask them why. And you find out, then you link that person and say, who else feels the way CJ feels? Okay, and you honor that, and you listen to it, and you respect it, and you loop all these people together who say, I really hate it. I hate the money aspect of it.
It's a calculated approach. I mean, you have to be very calculated with this, and it only comes from experience. I'm kind of getting from this because you have to learn these things from interactions. You aren't going to read it from a book and get it.
Yeah, it's exactly right. One of my favorite examples is you have to try to also find out when you start picking a jury. There are certain groups who are going to be naturally against you. We use jury consultants, they help you, but if you've done enough of this, you don't have to do a lot of that. Yeah. But you have to understand when you're picking the jury, there could be people in that group who are good, decent people, but they have a real difficult time with the law sometimes. For instance, let's say, as an example, the law says there can be or can't be the death penalty. You could be a hard-ass, pardon my language.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Tough person, and say, but I don't believe in the death penalty. And you could be a really strong Christian and say, I think sometimes it's necessary. The point is, you have to delve into that and find out what these people think. It's really difficult.
Well, and now, just as we're going into this, and man, this is already fun. We need to actually extend these, I think, because I'm having too much fun already. I'm learning a ton from you, too, because I always find this fascinating. Let's remind people, too, what Keith Shorts and Associates is all about, because you do medical malpractice, personal injury. Take me through the other different practices of the firm, if you could.
Sure. Well, medical malpractice is the largest portion of our firm, and we do car accidents. We do slip and falls. I'm not a big fan of those kinds of cases because, I think those are often very unfair to the business owner.
Yep, I agree.
Some water spills, some guy falls in it, the water had been there 10 minutes, you didn't have a chance to clean it up.
The guy had 14 beers on the way,
Yeah, or the person in front of you sloshes their beer and you walk by 2 minutes later and slip and fall in it. That seems extraordinarily unfair to me, to the business owner.
Yeah.
So we don't, it's got to be a really profound, you can't leave a giant hole there without a light on it.
Right.
And then, even then, if that person falls in the hole, they better really be hurt, right? I have no real interest in doing it. So we do that. We do workers' compensation. My partner, Holly, does estate planning. She's really good with establishing businesses. If you have a small business that you want to set up, Holly's really a fantastic person to call. That's pretty much what we do.
Well, and you guys have a great team all across the board in the office, too, and that's a good thing to note. And Keith, we still have a couple minutes here, but I'm really excited as we talk to you the next couple of months and have you on twice a month at least to fill us in, that we get to learn more about this, because you need to have good legal representation. And in the world of Google searches right now and who paid for the highest listing, they might come to you, but are they going to do the same job? That's, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of the question. So it's good for the younger generation to know if something happens like this, to really go after somebody that's done this before and knows it. And when you're working with clients, how important is it for them to be transparent with you? Because I could only imagine you do all this work on a case, and then all of a sudden, here we are. Someone's lying. Before I let you go, real quick, how important is that transparency?
We tell every juror or every potential client, it's TLC. Jurors must trust you and like you, and then they might compensate you. But if you don't tell the truth, you might as well just go home.
Right.
The moment you get caught in a lie, they turn on you. And they should turn on you, because this is serious stuff. You took an oath, and you better tell the truth. If I get a chance to come back, I could tell you a bunch of really great stories.
Oh, I'm ready for it at the end of September.
I've had people caught in lies and depositions where I look over and think, you SOB. and I've actually stopped depositions and walked outside and looked at the defense lawyer and said, we're going to dismiss this. This guy's a lying sack of stuff.
Well, and Keith, seriously, thanks so much for this first segment. I can't wait to talk with you at the end of the month. And really, we're going to have to extend these because I'm having too much fun already.
Well, I'm a motor mouth, so don't give me a mic. I'll keep going.
We'll take a quick break, and coming up, we're going to be talking with Tyler, Team Gravedigger, right after this on RiverBender.com, Roku TV.
Bank locally, Bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Let me show you how country feels.
Welcome back. 10:31. Really excited for this conversation with Tyler and Team Gravedigger. Man, how are we doing this morning? Thanks for giving us some of your time this Tuesday. Tyler, can you hear me? Hold on real quick. Let's see if we can... Tyler, there we go. I'm telling you, our audio issues. I think it's just my curse, man. I finally between the Zoom and the phone call, we have you now. And how was your Labor Day?
Good, man. I actually had a big event out in San Jose, California this weekend, so I'm just got back home and doing my laundry and getting ready to head back out.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and like I said, really sorry about the Friday issues with Zoom, but man, Monster Jam's coming down the pipeline in just about 18 days, September the 20th. This is going to be cool, and I mean, being part of such an iconic team that, I mean, hell, from just nationwide, everyone loves Team Gravedigger. It's got to be so cool to get in that truck each and every time.
It is, man, and you know what? I've kind of quit driving for the points this summer and the trophies, and you know, I kind of always have been this way. And I just drive for the fans, and I go out and have fun. And I always know if I'm having fun, that the fans are enjoying it as well.
Well, and you know, especially whenever you're in such a unique environment where fan interaction and that connection is really just so crucial, and something that's really just so special when it comes to this. What's it like to have to be a part of a team that's so connected with those fans and being out on the road? I'm sure you get stopped all the time, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. You know, the fans have been supporting this Gravedigger truck for over 40 years now, and you know, it's something that Dennis Anderson created back in 1982. So to be able to have a legacy that's over 40 years old, I mean, that's special in itself, I think.
Absolutely. And you know, you started competing in Monster Jam in 2016, correct?
Yeah. Yep. What
was that first experience like? Is there anything that can truly prepare you for that?
Not really, honestly. I mean, I was right out of high school. I mean, so it was, I went from high school to driving monster trucks. So it was quite the change in life for me at that point. But yeah, here we are. We're almost 10 years in, and man, it's been an awesome, crazy ride.
What drew you to Gravedigger?
So I just, grew up doing off-road racing and was always kind of a gearhead and a motorsports fanatic. So, now, at the end of high school, I kind of had to figure out what I was going to do. And so I got kind of tied in with the Gravedigger guys. I worked at Digger's Dungeon when I was a junior in high school. So I kind of had that connection there. And like I said, I got the keys to a monster truck when I was 18 years old. So definitely crazy.
I love this, man. And, how do you describe your driving style, for the fans a little bit? Take us through, I guess, the firsthand experience behind the wheel.
Yeah, I'm quite calculated behind the wheel, but I like to push the limits too. So it's you never know what you're going to get out of me. I'm definitely, I try and be the craziest driver on the track at all times.
Well, and going right into that, what's the most challenging aspect of that once you're out there and everything's live and you're on the horn? What's one of the most challenging things that you have done out there, I guess, daring if you could? And then also, what's that kind of focus point whenever the lights are on and we're going?
Yeah, you got to be focused. You got to be ready to go because, racing is that competition. I would say is like the most stressful for a driver. Not that you're not, I guess, stressed, but you got to be the most focused. You got to hit your marks. So you definitely got to be on it for racing. Everything else, there's a little bit of luck involved and a lot of skill involved as well. But I'd say racing's you got to hit your marks perfect.
Well, and now going back to the first part of this conversation, you were saying how you aren't really necessarily looking for, at the points too much. And, why is that? Just because I know that you've had, 7 series championships?
Yeah, 7-time series champion now. So, at some point, I'm not saying that I have enough trophies and I'm not sick of winning or anything like that, but I'm just to the point now where I'm just going out to have fun. I just want to have a ball myself, and I want to make sure the fans enjoy themselves as well and make sure that they're going to come back and see us and that they had a good time.
Well, and now when it comes to just your development, who do you credit that in terms of just learning the vehicle a little bit and also just your development throughout Monster Jam? Any role models or anyone that's really helped kind of guide you on that journey?
Yeah, the Anderson family has had the biggest influence on me, I'd say. Working for Adam when I was 16 years old, driving the ride truck out at Digger's Dungeon, and then me and Ryan have been on tour quite a bit after that. But Dennis Anderson, everybody always obviously looks up to him. Growing up, that was kind of my idol. Who's he not their idol? So definitely just cool to be driving the Gravedigger truck and behind the wheel. And I can't wait to get to St. Louis, man. I'm very excited, and yeah, definitely can't wait for that event.
Well, and now that takes me to kind of just the last couple of questions before we start talking Monster Jam here in St. Louis. And you were just out on the road. You were in San Jose. What's it like to balance that schedule? Because I'm sure that can get grueling at times.
Yeah, I get only a couple days at home a week, so definitely try and enjoy that. I fly back on Sundays or Mondays, and I'm back out on Thursday mornings. So. Yeah, it's not the life for the week, that's for sure. If you don't like traveling or if you don't like being gone from home, this definitely wouldn't be the job for you. So definitely, yeah, work-life balance is definitely key. I enjoy a good relaxation day when I get home for sure. So
now I got to ask you, when you're out on the road, is there like a go-to not only playlist but also snack bag repertoire? Because only people that have traveled as much really know that you have to really have these things ready to go and to have a successful trip.
Yeah, I honestly just listen to whatever when I'm on the plane. Can't listen to the same thing all the time. Snack wise, I'm not much of a snacker, so I don't really carry many snacks with me when I travel.
That's fair. I carry just a couple of shooters just to get through that flight, but we'll get through it together, But, Tyler, take me into Monster Jam in St. Louis, especially at being in such an iconic venue and really just an event that's drawn generation after generation. What are you excited for the most coming into St. Louis on the 20th of September?
Honestly, I got to say, I only live 5 hours away from St. Louis, so I'm actually going to get to drive to that one, and just going to have some friends and family in the house. So that'll be awesome. That doesn't happen too often, maybe once a year, twice a year. So that's going to be cool. And just St. Louis in general, it's one of our biggest floors, biggest stadiums we do. So I'm ready to kind of let loose inside the dome. That's for sure.
And real quick too, because I find this aspect of it fascinating. Take me through what you hope fans who have never gone to maybe a Monster Jam before, maybe this is the first time for their little one, for themselves. What do you hope they get out of this, and what tips can you give them to really have just the time of their life?
Yeah, I mean, just make sure you bring your headphones, of course. It's monster trucks are loud, and yeah, I mean, even if you've been to a Monster Jam 5-6 years ago, I always say this. You could have been to a Monster Jam then. It's going to be different now. It's Monster Jam. That's the coolest thing about it, is different every time you go. It's family fueled fun. We have a great time. I've never heard of anybody leaving a Monster Jam unhappy. So definitely get your butts down there in St. Louis, and yeah, I can't wait to see everybody on the 20th.
And now the event does start at 3 p.m., but that pit party will be open from 10:30 to 1:30 p.m. The event ticket and pit party passes are required for those entries. And hey, I have one final question for you, just because I think it's a fun one. If you weren't driving monster trucks right now, Tyler, what do you think you'd be doing?
I always wanted to be like a welder of some sort, I think. So that was my secondary idea when I was in high school. So
that's awesome, man. Well, real quick, what was that first moment like in Gravedigger? Do you remember that? Just because to me, that's got to be one of those moments that kind of imprints on you. When you first turn you first get in there and turn the engine on.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It was Birmingham, Alabama, 2017 in January. So it was my first rip in the Gravedigger, and yeah, man, it was very, very exciting. I'll never forget it.
This is so cool. You guys can see Gravedigger Tyler in action. 3 p.m. is the event time on the 20th of September. That's a Saturday. That pit party, 10:30 to 1:30. And then, Tyler, before I let you go, any sneak peeks of what fans can expect from you out there?
Just be ready. I'm going to get crazy in the dome. I can't wait. And yeah. See everybody down there on the 20th.
Awesome. Hey, Tyler, thank you so much for your time. We'll link everything in a write-up on RiverBender.com and really appreciate your patience on the tech side.
Yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate it.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with more Daily Show on this Tuesday morning right after this.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Discover Del Mar Public House, located in Godfrey's historic Clifton Schoolhouse. Enjoy bold flavors like homemade falafel, fish and chips, and rotating pasta favorites. Relax with local beers, half-price wine bottles, and summer poutine nights. The only thing missing is you. Open Wednesday through Sunday. Del Mar Public House, where great food, drinks, and friends come together. DelMarPublicHouse.com.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Welcome back. Hey, before we go right back into our conversation with Patty's Petals, I'm going to say so long, live in the studio today anyway. I'll be back tomorrow. So try your best to stay out of jail until then. It's weird to do a sign-off without just hitting the end button. But, man, we've had a busy show and just a great one to get back from Labor Day. We had so many people watching last month, and life's just great. And so thank you guys for that. But I want to apologize to Patty's Petals. We had to we were going to play that conversation at the end of the show, and it started kind of playing already on its own. So we're going to go back to that now, and I'll see you live in the studio on Tuesday. But just hang out as we get this back on track, and thanks for a great Tuesday morning. Oh, and I'll see you Wednesday. It's Tuesday. Duh.
Removal.net to reclaim your space today.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Coming down is the hardest thing.
Welcome back. Daily Show. On a Tuesday, our spotlight on the North Alton Godfrey Business Council continues with Missy and Tara and Patty's Petals, which is right on Godfrey Road. Now, your building is right next to where it was an old car lot, and right next to where are you guys right next to? Because it's driving me crazy. Yeah, that's exactly okay. I was going crazy this morning thinking about that. Well, and I had your parents on the show, I believe, a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How's everything been in that year's time since you guys have joined the show last?
Crazy.
That's awesome. Did you guys expect it to be kind of as busy as it has been?
A little bit.
Yeah. Our weddings have kicked up a lot, so
Yes.
that makes a big difference. So.
Well, and your mom, I believe, was telling me you guys that she was traveling all over to drop off wedding orders and so much when it comes to that, and also bereavement's very big for you guys as well,
yes.
correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, and now as we're getting into to school mode, and it's crazy to think that homecomings are coming down the pipeline. Do you guys do that work as well?
Absolutely,
Yes,
we
we
do a
do.
very big homecoming business.
Really cool. Now, take me through before we go any further. Your guys' day to day at Patty's Petals.
I mean, day to day varies.
I
Just depends on what we have going on. Wedding season's getting ready to kick in full swing. So
Absolutely.
a lot of our time will be spent with getting the wedding flowers ready and making sure everything's perfect for their big day.
Well, now when does wedding season? How long does that typically last for y'all?
Wedding season pretty much will start this weekend for us, and we have weddings booked through the end of the year.
Are you serious?
Yes, every weekend.
Just about every weekend.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, and now Tara, take me through. Is it kind of the same, just depending on the day?
Yes, absolutely. We usually arrive around 9 a.m. and prep the flowers for the day. Kind of go over what we've discovered the evening before, some orders that came in or whatever, and then we just look at each other and we get going. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and also right now, Grandparents' Day is coming up, and I know on the website that you guys are advertising your floral arrangements, and what better way to say, hey, happy Grandparents' Day than that? Let me take you through that just because I can. Something like that's beautiful. I mean, honestly, that really is, and that's only, I mean, for $50 right there shown at, that's a really great arrangement for that price. That's perfect.
The website's new for us. We just started that March or April.
Yes, April.
January. It was right before Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow. I bet that's been really busy for you guys then. Well, and now is it updated quite frequently too?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
Perfect. Well, and now I think it's awesome that you guys are really for every occasion, because you become such a staple that way where, you know, everyone knows that, you know, mom or grandma or dad or, you know, grandpa or whoever is calling Patty Petals for you name the holiday, we're here for it. And now, do you guys have a specific type of season that you guys kind of like the most?
Mine's fall.
Is it?
Absolutely fall, yes. Valentine's Day is very busy. That is a very busy holiday for us. However, I would say fall is probably our favorite. We get into more of the personalized gifts for, you know, your walls and for your home. So that's a lot of fun. We also do wreath parties coming up. Starting in October, yes, sir.
When do you do those, and can we register ahead of time when they come out on Facebook?
Absolutely. They will be on Facebook. The dates will be on there that people can register for, and those are for fall wreaths. And then we do a Christmas one as well, starting in November.
That's really cool. Well, before we go any further, too, take me through your guys' background and you know the floral industry before the shop. Were you guys in this before, or was this something you?
Nope.
Oh, no way! So you're this is awesome. So take me through kind of the learning curve, if you will, of getting all this done.
Mom taught us everything we know. So
absolutely,
she's really good at what she does, and she taught us everything we know, and we are very grateful for that.
I love it. Well, and now as we're getting into homecoming season and wedding season starts, how for folks that are interested in utilizing y'all, how do you how soon out should we book you for weddings and availability? Should we always kind of call a couple of months out for those type of
weddings?
Projects?
I mean, I've already got several weddings booked for 2026.
No kidding.
The sooner the better for your weddings. Homecoming, especially if you're wanting a certain color or something like that, the sooner the better. But we always take calls the day of homecoming too.
Absolutely.
So.
Oh, do you get the last minute? Oh, you're the saving. You're the guardian angel of so many.
Yep.
I love this.
We get lots of last minute calls, whether it's homecoming or it's I forgot my wife's anniversary that we need to send flowers for. We're very quick to help anyone.
You're saving a lot of lives out there.
Yes,
we try. We try.
No, this is so cool, and it's great for the public to know that too. That you know, we all mess up every once in a while, forget something. So it's great to know that you guys are willing to work with us as best you can. You
Absolutely.
know? And I just love this opportunity too for the Grandparents' Day arrangements too. Designer's Choice for $75. There's a $50 option, but I love this buy now option that's on your website too. And what a great way to order. Now, do you guys do arrangements per season as well, where we can maybe go get something for, you know, our living rooms or our kitchen?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
Anybody can stop in at any time and we will design on the spot, or if they call in, we can make up whatever you want.
That's
you know,
so
especially
cool.
if you've got a special flower you want, you can call in a couple days in advance if your wife or your significant other likes, you know, a certain rose, we can get those as well.
That's really, really cool. And now, when it comes to your guys' types of arrangements, is there a certain flower that you guys prefer to work with over others? Because I can only imagine that some of these can get a little tricky to put together.
Yeah.
We each have our favorites.
Yeah, we do. We do. Sunflowers probably are mine.
Is it?
Sunflowers or calla lilies.
Yeah. My favorite is hydrangeas. They go with everything, and you can make them any color you want. So They're beautiful.
Is there one that you guys are all? That's nice, but you're like, man, I really hope that this does not come in today. I just want to have a nice Tuesday. Which one's that?
The beanies.
Oh, no kidding.
Not my favorite.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, and now going forward, is there anything else coming? I know you said you have wreath parties and other opportunities like that. Is there anything else when it comes to specials or different types of baskets that are coming out before the end of the year we can fill the public in on?
We just watch our Facebook page. We're always doing specials. Right now we've got a box for the veterans. If you bring in a non-perishable item, you can receive 10% off.
Wow.
Within our store. So I kind of just update the Facebook page here and there with whatever I'm feeling that day.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. Well, and now we're going to go just real quick back to the website because you guys can go to pattyspetals.net. That's pattyspetals.net, and you can check this out for yourself. But just so many great different varieties of different baskets and flowers and arrangements that are just beautiful. I mean, who wouldn't want that as
absolutely
to start, especially for Grandparents' Day? No better gift than that, and that's always a great way to make sure that we're all feeling special. And then you got holiday options on here with a ton of different drop downs for different occasions. Sympathy moments, your birthday, roses, and there's even a button somewhere on the site that says for the husband that's going to be in trouble if they don't get these today.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. We have specific cards for those. So.
Do you really?
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah.
It's a little man in a doghouse.
Yeah, the doghouse card.
That's awesome. Now, what's your favorite part about working with the family, I guess? And is it, I'm sure everything has its moments because, with my family, we had Rigdon Sewer Service. My uncle has it now, and, him and my grandpa worked together forever. But did you guys always, are you enjoying working with Mom and Dad? And what's that dynamic working like?
Absolutely. We are a very close-knit family, so we do a lot together anyways.
Yeah.
So being able to work together on a daily basis, families all have their things, but we seem to work through it, and
I think we all work very well together.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And now, is it just Patty's Petals on Facebook?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yes.
And then what's your hours throughout the week for the folks that want to stop in and say hi?
So starting today, we go back to our normal hours.
Okay.
It'll be 10 to 5 Monday through Friday and 10 to 3 Saturday. And then we're
Perfect.
closed on Sundays.
Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by. And
Absolutely.
really,
Thank you
I'm
for
gonna
having us.
have to stop by and see you soon for
Yes,
sure.
you do. You absolutely do.
And make sure that you guys do too, and you can order online at pattyspetals.net or stop in and see them on Godfrey Road right next to the plant stand. And we'll take a quick break. More Daily Show comes right around the corner with the 10 o'clock hour after this one.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Discover Del Mar Public House, located in Godfrey's historic Clifton Schoolhouse. Enjoy bold flavors like homemade falafel, fish and chips, and rotating pasta favorites. Relax with local beers, half-price wine bottles, and summer poutine nights. The only thing missing is you. Open Wednesday through Sunday. Del Mar Public House, where great food, drinks, and friends come together. DelMarPublicHouse.com.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
We're out of time. Where did it go? I don't know. Hey, thanks for joining me, though. I got to say goodbye twice. Until I see you on Wednesday, try your best to stay out of jail.